What's up, people of YouTube? We've got a new style of video here today. I wanted to address again the topic, is streaming harder than a 9 to 5? And I almost feel really silly saying it like that because the answer is obviously no, it isn't. And you know, in times of my streaming and content creation journey, there has been a little bit of a disconnect between me and my audience. Thankfully not recently. I've been humbled myself a little bit over the years to really understand things for what they are. And streaming and working a 9 to 5 is very different, which we're going to elaborate on very, very soon. But, you know, I've kind of been fortunate to be able to overachieve as a small streamer and get a lot of support from my community, whether it's with tips or super chats and things like that. And I think in the early days when I was first doing this, and I would say even in the middle of the road in the journey, I have to admit, it came, as I said, with a little bit of arrogance and a disconnect, because my reality is certainly doing this very different to what other people's reality is. And so if I have a tough day with streaming and I over complain about it, I'm just going to sound like an idiot and be a laughing stock to the community, right? It's just going to cause further disconnect and things like that. Streaming can certainly be very hard sometimes, like, you know, in the entertainment field and the arts, I really do believe that you're only good as your last stream. And if you have a bad day, it's certainly going to be really, really stressful. But I'm thinking about the whole topic, is streaming harder than a 9 to 5? I was like, once upon a time, I worked regular entry-level 9 to 5 jobs. So I just wanted to really backtrack through my memories of those, and then you could really logically ask the question after that, if you could do one thing 10 times over, would it be the 9 to 5, right? Or would it be what I'm doing now? 10 times out of 10, I'd prefer to be doing what I'm doing now. And so I'm going to go back like 25 years ago. I want to talk about a couple jobs now. The first one I did was a kitchen hand traineeship slash first year apprenticeship. I used to work in a kitchen. It was pretty hard work. I didn't really have a whole lot of money for public transport because it was my first, I guess you could say, one of my first proper jobs outside of high school. So it would be these big 12-hour plus days as a young 20-year-old me. Getting into work at 10, sometimes leaving at midnight, but you'd have a split in the middle and stuff. But I would never go home during the split. I would just try to get a little bit of rest and have some lunch on the couch and then go from like the day shift to the night shift. You know, you prepare for lunch service, dinner service, things like that. And it was pretty hard work. I mean, I was probably on the equivalent of like $4 an hour US, around about $6 or $7 Australian. And I didn't mind the work. Like, even though it was hard work, it was kind of repetitive. It was easy to get in a cycle. You knew what you were getting into with the work every day. I did some food prep, mainly did like the dish pigging stuff, you know, cleaning dishes and things like that. And without dragging on, the job itself was pretty good, but sometimes the people can make or break a position. And that's the first thing I want to mention, because, you know, streaming, even though I'm dealing with both a wonderful community and also people that could be a problem, trolls, things like that, I'm still at the safety of my keyboard, right? My head chef in my first, apprenticeship job, he was formerly in the Royal Navy, and he seemed to take to me and like me at first. Actually, the hotel manager said I was the best kitchen hand he ever had. But unfortunately, I think the head chef took a little bit of favoritism to the other guy in the same position. And I think he was going through some stuff with his wife being really sick in his personal life, to be honest. And so if there was a small mistake or something very little that wasn't done, he would take it out on me and even throw kitchen utensils at me. It got to the point where it was like really, really intense, and I was just like, fudge it, I'll leave. I don't know if he was just hazing me and trying to give tough love to see if I could handle it, but my work ethic wasn't as such, or my self-respect for that matter, that I was going to put up with that. So I left and went to another position. And then the next position in the kitchen, it was just basically, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. It was a bunch of old fuddy-duddy feminists just giving me a hard time because I was the only guy in the workplace. Now, I have to admit, at this point, my work ethic wasn't fantastic. Like, I was pretty good at my job, but, you know, when you're in your 20s, you can go out, you can party a lot, get drunk, go out with your friends, and go to work off 2 hours sleep. I could honestly say I was doing a pretty good job with everything in the kitchen in my second place, but it was just constantly, you know, these old ladies being condescending and belittling you and just giving you like just such a nightmare every single day. And again, I want to elaborate too. These are just kind of like regular hospitality jobs. Already, I'm saying I'd much rather stream than do a regular hospitality job. And, you know, when you think about other people in really intense fields like law enforcement, the medical field, the military, and all the things that they have to see and put up with on a daily basis, even mentioning what I went through in hospitality and everything, right, is kind of silly. Because after that position, I went to McDonald's. And again, being regular crew and everything, unfortunately, I had a McDonald's job before and it was actually quite positive. But I went to another McDonald's position, and the next people at this place weren't so positive and friendly as my other experience. So I was kind of in for a culture shock. And I learned then actually that no one workplace is the same, even if it's the same position, if that makes sense. And I was just getting belittled for dumb things like, you know, speed up. If it's time to lean, it's time to clean. That's not a good coffee color. You're not pouring the coffee right. It's just like, just really like humiliating kind of things, you know, and it's just, I'm just so happy that I don't have to deal with that anymore. And now that I'm talking these things out with you, and, you know, going back to streaming, and when I talk about things like how sometimes it's tough to have trolls and things like that, and how sometimes people can be overly demanding and say really dumb things, these are all really legitimate problems you have with streaming and stuff like that. And I'm obviously not touching on the really positive things about it. I'm just mentioning the negative things for argument's sake, despite all that negativity that sometimes comes as a byproduct of all the good things that come out of streaming. But the fact of the matter is, I get to wake up and do what I love every single day, right? I can have my breakfast, shower, get ready at my own pace, have a coffee, stumble half naked into office if I want, and get my work going on my computer. I don't have to worry about the whole commute to work like I used to. Like, again, I should be so grateful because right before I started streaming, I was driving over an hour one way to a position that I absolutely hated on minimum wage, which was almost not worth it. It was like a real rough time in my life. And I don't have to do any of that, you know. I'm not going to crack in the middle of standstill traffic like defense Michael Douglas and falling down, just leave my car in the middle of the highway. I don't have that ticking time bomb-ish happening anymore, you know what I mean? And then I don't have to deal with politics in the workplace, people belittling me, me taking on all this extra work in order to only get passed over for a promotion because I'm so required in my current position, no one can do it like I can, and just, I'm just so much more thankful and grounded to be able to stream, make content, even if I don't necessarily deserve to. I can full-time as a small-time creator do this. And I just wanted to be like, let's get real, let's get down to earth. A lot of people, unfortunately, haven't had a real job, and they've gotten into the content creation space, so they don't know what it's like. But if you are lucky enough to have worked real positions and things like that, and then gotten into the content space, don't bite a gift horse in the mouth. Just honestly have a logical look and be like, hey, would you rather work that 9-to-5 position, or would you rather the privilege of being in the content creator space? And, you know, you got to remember, a lot of people would really rather change places with you and be in this position. And so, you know, if you overly complain about it and stuff, you're just going to sound like an absolute laughing stock, right? But that's my thoughts. I'm just so much more grounded and thankful for what I'm able to do, I suppose, every single day. And even though I'm a small streamer, I mean, I'm still in this position. It's a position of privilege. I hope I can keep improving and growing. And I hope both the public and also anyone in the content space and my community as well got something out of this video. Just wanted to share my thoughts today. Thank you for listening, guys.